Podcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Warning. The following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. We are a Jersey podcast, and on the menu, a variety of true crime, cults, mysteries, historical hilarities, and sometimes victim stories. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nidia.
I'm Dana.
I'm Cindy.
Last week, I told you guys about the Axeman of New Orleans. Mm-hmm. I almost took on the accent there. The accent of New Orleans. He was an unidentified serial killer who was active in the New Orleans, Louisiana area from May 1918 to October 1919. And the Axeman was never identified, although shows such as the American Horror Stories, they put a spin on it and made him into this jazz-loving, free-flowing guy. And he was out there killing Italian Americans and grocers for some reason.
Yeah, very specific.
Very specific demographic. Yeah.
I was glad you covered that story because I've seen it on American Horror Story and like these little things.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's like like an urban legend kind of thing, but he was based on truth,
Yeah. So speaking of urban legends and things based on truth, I have recently discovered that some fairy tales and folklore, things like this, are also based on truth. And that is what I'm going to be talking about today.
What, like Grimm's?
Sort of, yeah. Yes,
oh, shit.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, how does a Grimm's type of fairy tale turn into a child story?
Yeah, so, obviously they were created to, warn children of this or teach them morals or teach them how to, develop.
To scare them into being better people.
Yeah, scare them or, make them aware of their surroundings in ways that maybe... We'll talk about some and we'll see how you feel about it.
Okay. All right. Can't wait. But first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month under the power of the V podcast cult.
So as you can see, it's kind of everything is a muffin or a muffin tin kind of thing.
Okay.
So you have a shepherd's pie that was made in a muffin tin with pie crust. And then you have a blueberry cream cheese stuffed muffin for dessert.
Oh, so we're doing dinner and dessert.
Yes, remember we decided that last week.
Oh, okay.
Literally 1 week ago.
Season 3 is going to be a real kicker for me.
Hold on to your muffins, kids.
Wow, I hope your muffins are moist.
They look moist.
Yes, I don't like a dry muffin.
No one likes a dry muffin. That's no fun for anyone.
All right, let's eat Cindy's muffin.
Shepherd's pie and that blueberry little muffin thing.
Oh my god!
What do you think about the shepherd's pie? Not a muffin, but I see your point.
It was in muffin tins.
First of all, I have to ask, is this about the Muffin Man?
We may be discussing the Muffin Man.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. The shepherd's pie is a shepherd's pie is a shepherd's pie.
Yeah, we love it.
Delicious,
always
tasty,
crowd pleaser.
But let's really talk about what we're here for. That fucking muffin.
The muffin was so good. Listen, let me tell you something about a crumble.
Oh, it was a crumble.
What I have to say about a crumble. I love a crumble.
So do I.
I would love to Scrooge McDuck myself headfirst into a vat of a crumble. I love a crumble.
With the blueberry, I don't like regular raw blueberries, but a cooked blueberry I can really get behind.
Love a cooked blueberry.
The crumble, the blueberry, the mush.
The inside.
Oh, the mushy inside.
There was a cream cheesecakey situation happening in there. Did you pipe it in or did you cook it in there?
I cooked it in there.
So good.
Oh, so melty and moist and just... Oh.
It was moist.
Slippery.
It was, in fact. Does it remind you of your new favorite keychain?
No, don't talk about that. That's our secret love. Actually, it's a fidget. I'm gonna talk about it again. I'm so excited about it. It's a fidget, but I'm like a nervous, like anxious person. So like if I'm nervous about something, I'll unconsciously pick at my fingers and and I'll tear my hands up. And so I've been just flicking those things and they feel like really rough nipples and I love it.
I went home and talked about your new kink.
That is indeed a kink.
Yeah. So I have been off work for many weeks. So I've been planning these little small trips, little ski trips, just a couple days away, nothing crazy, nothing real like extravagant. I went to Luray Caverns in Virginia.
Okay.
I've been there before, but we were just looking for a little cabin in the woods situation.
Oh, no, you're never looking for a little cabin in the woods situation.
Okay. I made 2 critical errors, okay? Critical error number 1 is I watched Barbarian. Did you watch this movie?
I don't know that. It sounds familiar. Give me the synopsis.
If you watch the trailer, 2 people rent the same Airbnb.
Oh, yes.
Same time.
Okay, yes.
And, disaster ensues. So we watched that movie. Because if you were on our Patreon, my girlfriend comes on and talks about how she had an Airbnb abduction situation happen.
Yes.
And so I thought it would be hilarious to watch this horror movie about an Airbnb abduction situation. Like, ha, ha, ha. To then rent an Airbnb the next week.
Oh, God.
I'm
feeling super anxious because I remember that movie.
Yeah, it was very scary. So the second error I made was that when we were looking for the cabin in Luray and Shenandoah is a big area. Mm-hmm. Shenandoah is a huge area. So when I put in Shenandoah, I was, things were coming up, whatever. We initially wanted to book this one. It was actually a really fucking cool, what are those, like a shipping container.
Okay.
So cool. And they had made it all windows and it was on the edge of Shenandoah. They had kayaks you could go, so cute, so fun. But then that one got booked because, of course, I'm an asshole and didn't book it right away. And so then we just booked with the same owner, just a different cabin. So I didn't realize that the different cabin, the way that the description was, made it seem like, oh, you can just stay at one of our other cabins. So I just thought they were all similarly close to each other.
Right.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. This cabin was in West Virginia.
Oh,
not regular
no.
Virginia.
I just heard banjos. Fuck.
Not regular old Virginia, but West Virginia.
Oh, shit.
So I don't even realize initially that this has happened. Okay. Because when we go, book, whatever. So, and it was an hour away from where I wanted to be. So it wasn't that it was so far away, but it was further away than I typically thought I was going to be. And I don't notice that we're in West Virginia because when I just click on the address and then put it into Google Maps, it just takes me. I don't see that we're going to West Virginia, not regular Virginia.
It doesn't say, uh-oh.
Yeah, right. It's like, ma'am, do you know you're driving to West Virginia in a lesbianic situation? A cabin in the woods? Do you know what's happening? No, I didn't know. So the other thing that happened is, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago I crashed my car and the airbags deployed.
Right.
And so I did get the car repaired. When I first got the car back, there was an electrical problem. Sometimes when I hit the blinker, it will say that my headlight is out, even though it's not. Or that my blinker's not working. I took it back and they were like, oh, whatever. And then it was fixed. So all of this time it has been functioning properly. My headlights work, my blinker works, whatever. Halfway down this vacation, I hit my blinker and literally the whole driver's side of my car goes out. No headlight, no low light, no blinker, just on one side. And I'm like, okay, this is fine. It sucks, but I got a padiddle, but whatever. It's not a vacation ending situation.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but West Virginia has a law against streetlights. They don't have them anywhere.
Wonderful.
Nowhere. On the highway, nothing.
Oh, shit.
So we're driving. It's rainy. Oh. And I can see literally 1 foot in front of me. And the speed limit's 70 everywhere. And I'm I'm actually getting wound up about it. I was pretty fuck, this is scary.
Right.
It was scary. And they're literally the only cars on the road at that point, because we got on the road way later than I wanted to, were big, huge, trucks,
Right.
So, whatever, we get to West Virginia. We're 8 minutes from our cabin. So I missed my turn because I couldn't really see that well. So I put my hazards on, pulled off to the side of the road because there was a huge truck behind me. and then backed up a little bit. 8 minutes. I'm like, okay, we're almost there. I'm like, okay.
Right.
We're just making a left into what is a windy, mountainous road.
With one headlight.
With one headlight and whatever.
With one headlight.
So the 8-minute trip took me 45 minutes. And so we turn, we make like the first left, and it's like, it's a windy road, whatever. And like, I can't even tell, but it appears to be a cliff on the right-hand side.
Oh, wonderful.
And so we turn like a little bit left, and there's just like a rock wall, and just the way the light hit the rock, it looked like a boulder was falling down. So I'm like on the steering wheel, like fucking my nose is touching the fucking steering wheel. My knuckles are nails digging in and I'm just 1 mile an hour, like do. And so we get around that turn, and I was fucking shook, and I had been shook for like a while at this point. So we get around the turn, and my girlfriend's like, "That was scary," and I'm like, "No, don't say it was scary." Because she was she's like, "You're doing such a good job. Like, it's fine." She was like, "Ooh, that was scary." I'm like, "Don't you fucking say it was scary." We get around the next turn, so we go like around, right? She goes, "Oh, I think you might be about to drive us off a cliff," because like, and she was being so fucking she had to want to punch me in the face because I was like, my teeth were chattering. I was so fucking shook. So. And it was like you just couldn't see if you were going to drive off a cliff or not. You just couldn't. It was so like, I just didn't know what to do, and there was nothing. I couldn't back up.
Right.
You can't go like. So we get finally 45 minutes all the way up to this thing. We pull up, and it's like, your destination is on the left, and there's a big fucking sign outside. I took a picture of it. It's like, beware of dog, no trespassing, dog will bite, will shoot, and I was like, no. This can't possibly be it.
This is a setup.
I was like, there's no fucking way. So I'm like, she's like, what's the number of the house? So we, pull up on, okay, 157. I'm like, okay, this isn't it. It was the next one. I'm like, so cool. That's our neighbor.
Okay.
But it wasn't our place.
Cool.
Fine.
Yeah.
So we pull in, and like, once we get there, I'm like, okay, it's a cabin in the woods, like on the side of a mountain. It's dark. It's not, and I like fucking, like, all of a sudden, it like fucking hits me. And I'm just like, we are in West Virginia.
You literally went to the second location on vacation.
It's like, we're like fucking lesbians in the woods in Virginia. And I'm like, listen, here's the code to get in the house. I said, I'm going to go up there and get the key. I was so shook, bitch. I was so shook. And I was like, you can come with me now, or you can wait until I get in the house. But I'm telling you right now, if some spooky shit happens between here and that door, and I'm back in this car and I'm backing out and you're not in the car, I don't know what to tell you. You're either in or you're out, bitch. So the line in the sand has been drawn. Like, I ain't doing no spooky shit.
I'm starting to believe that she is cursed for Airbnb.
So we get in, once we get in the Airbnb, close the door, lock the door. It's like so adorable in there. Cute little wood burning stove, whatever. There's a hot tub. That was the whole point. We wanted to get a hot tub, on the side of the mountain. That first night, it took me 2 hours to calm down. My brain was dumping adrenaline into my gut. Oh. I could not, I was shaking for hours. I just couldn't settle down. So we just, went to bed, And the next morning we woke up, walked around. I'm like, okay, this place is regular.
Right.
I, let my brain scare the shit out of me. It was dark. She was like, I wish you weren't so scared last night because the stars looked... I don't even talk to me about the stars. Okay? I don't even care. So we went and go to Skyline Drive. We were going to have a picnic with sunset, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we go out, have fun. Now it's dark again. And I have one fucking headlight. So...
You didn't try to fix it?
Back up... Well, I can't fix it because it's an electrical issue. Oh. So I did go to Walmart. The one Walmart that was 56 miles away.
Oh, my God.
And I bought a big-ass light. And I was like, we'll just stick it out the window, right? we're in West Virginia. Let's make this shit work. So,
flashlight for your car.
Bitch, this is 1,000 lumens light. Fucking lit up the sky. Okay? So that actually helped the second night. And then she's like, let's go in the hot tub. And I'm like, okay. No, bitch. Okay, because the way the pictures looked was a hot tub on the back porch. You just go out,
right?
In the back, we didn't, You know how I like to go in the hot tub. We
Yeah,
didn't bring
naked.
bathing suits.
Naked.
We brought robes.
Yeah.
So we had to like walk around the house. And in theory, the people like put this big spotlight on the hot tub so you can see. That's great. So smart.
Right.
Except you can't see anything else around you.
Right. So somebody could like literally be there.
Somebody
peeking.
could be fucking 1 foot away before I saw them.
Right.
Just like looking at me like, what you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you
With
naked
a
in this
knife.
hot tub? Yes, with a gun.
Right.
With a dog. With a fucking hatchet. I don't know. We have no weapons. We have cellular devices, which we
Right.
can't even bring in the hot tub. So we're in the hot tub, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, bitch, I am not okay. Like, no part of this is okay." Like, we put the bubbles on. I'm like, "That was dumb. Now I can't hear anything." The bubbles went off. I'm like, "It's so loud." The silence is so loud. She's like, my fucking head was on a swivel. I was dizzy. Like, just fucking. She's like, "Do you want to get out?" I'm like, "I am so fucking sorry. I swear to God, like, I am so fucking sorry. But I can't, like, I'm going to throw up." I was so, like, so we go inside.
You shouldn't have watched a scary movie. Did you ever watch a cabin? What is it? Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah, and, like, those movies generally don't freak me out. And if you watch the end of Barbarian, it's, like, not even that scary. You know what I mean? It was more, like, the location was really getting to me. You know, the Confederate flags was sort of bumming me out a little bit. Like, it was a lot of that, you know?
Those should have scared you.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, you know? And I was like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, all of this would be great, like, in the Poconos.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
all of this would be great in, like, Colorado or something. But I was just so bugging. I was bugging the whole time. So then we went in the hot tub in the morning. Beautiful, so fun. I wasn't ready to die the whole time.
Right.
Had a great time. We, like, stayed in. Like, we made a pillow for it and watched movies. Like, it was a nice, yeah, it was a fun day. Went to dinner. Okay. So in the Airbnb, they had a guest book. Like, sign the guest book. And it's like, you know, where are you from?
Right.
Like, what are your names? Like, what's your purpose of your trip? Like, do you want to leave a message? What was your favorite thing that you did? And, like, recommendations for other people. So everybody in this book is like being like, you have to visit this place called Angus and Ale. So good. Deep fried bacon. God, must try the deep fried bacon. I'm like, the fuck is deep fried bacon?
It's just regular bacon.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm like, okay, let's go. We were going to go to a nice dinner. And it, like, seemed like they were like, this is the nicest place in the area. Angus and Ale, right?
This is the nicest.
So we're like, let's go to Angus and Ale. Like, the website was like, okay, fine. So we get in there, and it's like, just like...
It was called Angus and Ale?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know, like a Cracker Barrel, kind of.
Okay.
But, like, small, and, like, at a cool kind of location. And, like, I guess maybe if it wasn't in the winter, and, like, it probably is good. Like, it was just a regular restaurant, you know? So, whatever. So we get where I'm like, obviously we want to try the fried bacon, you know? And then, like, on the menu, it's like breaded bacon. Like breaded.
Right.
Deep fried bacon. And sure enough, that's what the fuck it was. It came out and it was some crispy ass, like, Cajun seasoned, I don't know, breaded bacon. I don't know how to describe it.
Was it good?
No, bitch. It was really gross. And in the book, it was like, you gotta try the deep fried bacon. I'm like, are you guys fucking with us? So when we filled out our paper, you know, we put our names, and then it was like, what is the purpose of your trip? And we put, like...
To try the deep fried bacon.
Historians will call them best friends.
You wrote that in the guest book. Historians will call them best friends.
And then, like, they were like, what do you recommend? And we were like, we had a rocking good time at the Angus and Ale. And then I put in stars, deep fried bacon.
You kept the lie going.
Yeah.
You're horrible.
It's like, we love the deep fried bacon.
And they're gonna wonder what the fuck is wrong with you when they go and try it. Just like you
It's
thought
so
about
weird. It was
everybody
the
else.
weirdest thing I ever...
What the hell?
It was like flat, weird. Like, when it came out, we both looked at it and we're like, what the fuck is that? And then she ordered, like, a pork with a mango habanero, like, salsa. Bitch, I had deep fried bacon on top of it.
Ew.
Like, on top of it, they put... I'm like, stop it with this bacon. What is
making
this?
it a thing.
It's never going to be a thing, Angus. Never. But anyway, then we went to the caverns and we came home and it was fun. It was still, mostly a fun trip, but I was fucking shook literally the whole time.
Aww.
I wanted to die. I was like, that was such a terrible.
Well, you didn't want to die.
I didn't want to die at all. I was like, my stomach has been dumping adrenaline for a week. My stomach, I don't think it will be right for days and days. Like, at all. I was like, wow.
Wow. She is bad luck on Airbnbs.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And the Airbnb was like, I mean, it was fine, right? It was great.
Yeah.
It was just location. It was really terrible.
Wow.
And the guy's like, oh, he's texting me the whole time, the owner of it.
The owner.
And so, of course, in my head, I'm like, he texted me the morning of, he's like, oh, you can get there early because the cleaners are, which, of course, we were just not ready to go. We were moving slow. And then, as we're driving, I'm like, what if he fucking told us to get there early so he could kill us right away? I'm like, I'm going to get off this fucking podcast, man. I fucking scared the shit out of myself. The way I was like, she's like, you shouldn't drink the ice in the Airbnb because they poison. I'm like, so then of course we're sleeping in the Airbnb.
Right.
I locked my bedroom door. Okay. We found the bedroom that had a lock. I'm like, yes. And then she was like messing with the window and she goes, this window's unlocked. I'm like, motherfucker. They probably unlocked these windows on purpose.
Yeah, they sure
So
did.
when we went around, locked every fucking window. And then in the middle of the night, this bitch just snoozing away like nothing's fucking happening. I'm like, my heart is pounding, 170 beats a second. And the fucking house creaks. I hit the roof. You could have seen my fucking body impression in the ceiling. I hit the roof so fucking hard because the house creaked. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, it wasn't you, bitch. It's the fucking people trying to kill me.
That's so sad.
It was terrible.
Did you see your neighbor, your lovely neighbor that will shoot at will?
No, but she was like, we got to get a picture of that sign. I'm like, yeah, but not until we leave. Because I've seen horror movies. You're the asshole that takes the picture the first day.
Yeah.
They're the first ones to go.
Yeah.
So as we were leaving, she's like, stop, make sure you get a picture of that sign.
You have been fucking ruined and tainted by the stories that we've shared on this podcast.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I was literally a shaking mess the whole time.
Wow.
And then when we got to Angus and Ale, I was like, it was like the first time I'd seen like a strip mall in days or whatever. And I'm like, this is fucking first civilization I've seen in days.
Right.
She's like, oh, you're being so dramatic. I'm like, where have we seen people? We didn't see any people. There were no people.
Right.
Where were the people? There were no people.
Wow.
Fucking hill people.
Hill people. Oh my god. Was the during the daytime was the ride up the mountain like as scary?
It was no. It was like that next day when we drove down it, I was like, oh, okay, like it's like a paved road but like dirt.
Right.
Like and paved. And like, yeah, I mean it's still the side of a mountain.
Right.
And also I was like, damn, I wish I had a truck or something. Like it would probably be easier than my Chrysler 200 with my one headlight.
Right.
And honestly, like if I had full working headlights, maybe it would have been 40% less scary.
Right.
But since I was working with I felt like I could only see 1 foot in front of the car. I just really couldn't see.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Wow.
It was terrible.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I just never realized how much like a blinker was important. Like,
well, you know what?
or how often I use it, because every time I would hit it, it would go ding, like I couldn't, it wasn't working.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, okay, I was glad that I was like, I'm actually use my blinker fairly often, which is good, but like.
Where are you going to vacation next? The morgue?
I don't know, dude. Somewhere.
Ukraine?
Somewhere.
I mean, it seems like.
Somewhere gay friendly, I think.
Wow.
But that was the problem. I was like, was texting you like before, like what's like a good gay town to go to?
And I told her all the gay places.
They're all like summer places. Like a lot of them are summertime. The gays, we love to be in the sun.
Also, the one place that you had asked me about, they said that stays bumping all year round.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. What, P-Town? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's P-Town?
It's like Providence Town. It seems like a very like gay friendly area. And I think that's what I need. I need to be around my people.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, Confederate flag. Oh, Trump sign. I was like shocking how many they were. It was like little shocks on my body, little razor blades, cuts over and over and over again. I was like, oh God. That was a lot.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're safe and sound.
Yeah,
here
we're back.
Again. Yeah,
we're back in Jersey where there's street lights everywhere. You can see. Yeah. I mean, pretty well.
But yeah, for the most part, some parts of where we live, they don't.
That's
have
true.
Signs.
Like my main street doesn't have street lights, but
we're in South Jersey. The North Jerseyans call us like the hills.
The hill people. Yeah. So you'd think I would have felt comfortable, but no, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am, this was not. The best part was, like, when it was like, oh, because, you know, like, sometimes around here, because the states are so small and close together, it'll be like, oh, you're entering Pennsylvania, you're entering Virginia, then you're back in Pennsylvania. You know, it just happens like that.
Yeah.
So when they were like, oh, you're entering West Virginia, it didn't, like, dawn on me that we were in West Virginia till the next day.
Right.
When we were driving away, and it was like, you're entering Virginia. I was like, where the fuck were we? And she was like, we're in West Virginia. I was like, the fuck? She was like, you didn't know we were in West Virginia? I was like, no, bitch. I thought we were in Virginia. And that just, like, made it...
Because Virginia's for lovers.
Yes. I don't know.
West Virginia's for troll people?
I don't know what West Virginia was, but when we drove into Virginia and said Virginia's for lovers, and she was like, I never heard that before. And I'm like, I know, you didn't, but it's nice. It's not West Virginia, though.
Wow.
Anyway, do you want to hear a story?
I do. I mean, I feel like you just enriched us with one.
Yeah. It wasn't very enriching. It was just my adrenaline seeking, I still feel, like, wound up from that.
I can tell. You had me wound up.
It was upsetting.
Wow. But you know what relaxes me?
What's that?
A nice glass of whatever it is that Cindy just poured us.
Yeah, what was this?
It's called Pinkette. It's a
Pinkette.
sparkling rosé.
Well,
Oh.
it tastes like grapefruit juice. And I think that's what it is, because I don't feel a buzz yet.
No, you want
And I've
another
had 2
glass?
glasses.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
It is a little sparkly. Gives you a little, like, tingle on the palate. Mm-hmm. What flavor is it?
Grapefruit.
No, it's not.
It's just a rosé. It's a rosé.
It's
Just
good.
a
I
rosé.
like it.
It's a sparkling wine.
It does sort of taste like a sparkling grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
She threw a little cute little strawberry in there,
Yep.
and I like it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so much I've already had 2.
Yeah, you want a third?
I'm going to listen to your story, and then I'm going to pour some in the middle of it.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
We have to talk about our show.
Okay.
Who are we and what do we do?
Ha! I am Martha Madrigal.
And I'm Charles Tyson Jr. We are the hosts of Full Circle,
The podcast.
You are a beautiful white trans woman.
I will take that. Of a certain age. And you are a gorgeous black cis pan man who has shared my life for 10 years.
And we're engaged. I put a ring on it.
Yeah, you did put a ring on. It's a pretty ring, too.
Now we have a podcast.
Yeah, there's not much we don't talk about here.
It's true. We talk about LGBTQ issues, headlines of the day. We talk about fun things too, like movies and music and television and pop culture.
And we talk about what it is to be black in America and what it is to be trans in America and how those things intersect and collide. And
Child, it gets interesting. And you can check us out every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. Because once again, we're Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, and this is Full Circle, the podcast.
Are we done now?
I think so.
Okay.
Today I got my story from storynet.org, insider.com, yourlifechoices.com, journalstandard.com, refinery29.com, medium.com, Snopes, and Wikipedia.
Snopes.
Storytelling has been around since we were able to communicate with one another. It was how people passed down their history, their culture, and wisdom. Folklore, fairy tales, and nursery rhymes were some of the best ways to teach children morals, to have decision-making skills, empathy, and sometimes they were blatant warnings about real dangers in the world. Author Laura Packer from the National Storytelling Network said, "Fairy tales endure because they are, at their most basic, the stories of our lives in the most stripped-down form. They are stories of love and loss, desire and death, riches and ruin. They are unadorned stories of what drive us, without the civilizing details of technology and manners. They teach us how to survive in this wily and wicked world. They are a shortcut to uncommon understanding of the way the world works." But did you know some of these beloved fables are based sometimes in truth? They have dark.
Yeah, well, ring around the
roots.
rosies.
Ring Around the Rosie is a very good one.
Uh-huh.
What do you know about that story?
That it was about the plague and dying from the plague, and like a pocket full of posies is what, like, you know.
They would keep the
Yeah.
flowers in there to hide the smell.
Yeah. Didn't we do a story like that?
I think maybe when we covered the
plagues,
pandemic, when the pandemic first happened,
Yeah.
something like that. But let's start with the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Do you know the Pied Piper?
I know, I'm familiar with the story, yes.
So this legend dates back to the Middle Ages, and the earliest reference is describing a man who plays a flute-like instrument dressed in a multicolored or pied clothing.
Oh, is that what pied means?
Apparently.
Okay. All
I
right.
learned that today. He was a rat catcher hired by the town to remedy their rat infestation with his magical pipe. He played his pipe, and the rats are enchanted to follow him wherever he goes. So the story describes him leading them to a cave, or sometimes the story describes him drowning them in a river. When the citizens refuse to pay him for his service, as they promised him that they would, he retaliates by using the same musical instrument on their children, leading them away to the same place as the rats, so either the cave or drowning them all in the river.
Damn, that's dark.
Yeah, it is fucking dark. So there is a real town of Hamelin in Lower Saxony, Germany.
Saucony? Is it Saxony or Saucony?
I don't know, I don't speak German.
You pretend to be a German enough time.
This town in Germany uses this legend as part of its tourist economy, involving guided tours, themed meals at restaurants, multiple reenactment venues, and people love to come to the town and like be part of a fairy tale.
What do you serve as part of the meal?
What
Rats?
do you think? That's what I was thinking.
What the, or kids?
Yeah, right. Tiny little riblets.
Oh my god. Oh.
Rat tails.
Oh. Gross.
So the earliest known evidence that this story is true originates from the town itself. There used to be depicted in a stained glass window created for a church in Hamelin, which dated around the 1300s, and it like depicted the story, like the Pied Piper and the mice,
Right.
the children, whatever. The church had been destroyed in the 1600s, in 1660 actually, but there have been written accounts about the church and the stained glass windows, so they still remain. The oldest written account that survived simply states that in the year 1284, on the day of St. John's and Paul, on June 26th, a piper clothed in many kinds of colors, 130 born in Hamelin were seduced and lost at the place of execution near Copen. So that's just like a thing that was written somewhere.
Right.
In 1284.
So a funny dressed man seduced a few children, 130.
130.
And that's more than a few.
Yeah.
To their deaths.
Yes. Beyond that, the town's records from 1384 note that it is 100 years since our children left. So there's like these weird accounts that
Right.
like something happened to 130 of their children.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So where did 130 kids vanish off to? Some historians have suggested that they were recruited into a children's crusade to take back the Holy Land. This would have been around the time of the Crusades, I guess.
Okay.
And some of them were saying like that they were recruited by Muslim to like take back the Holy Land for like Muslim, like the Catholic Muslim
Right.
whole thing there.
So they were like kind of like brainwashed.
Or abducted and
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It has also been suggested that the children died in the Black Plague, but there's about a 60-year
Right.
gap in that timeline, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Most likely, though, they were recruited to help colonize a newly liberated German land. Hamelin family names start showing up in new German towns outside of Berlin with like a pretty consistent frequency. So they think maybe like these kids were taken to like work in these little towns and then build them up because they weren't really like populated yet, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's like very Lord of the Flies kind of.
Yeah, it says that there is documentation of this tactic being used in Germany at the time, and times were tough and people were poor. So this colorful musician, quote unquote,
Right.
would have been offering them opportunities for their children, as well as one less mouth for the family to have to feed.
Right.
So like it kind of makes sense that that's probably where that comes from. There has been research conducted for centuries, but no true explanation about, where the children went.
Right.
Rats don't appear in the story until 1559, though. So like 300 years later.
So prior to that, in the 1300s, it was just about the kids.
That the kids disappeared. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a street in Hamelin where the children were last seen, quote unquote. And today it's called
With confidence.
Bungulsenstrasse.
Love that for you.
And it's translated to street without drums. And no one is allowed to dance or play music there.
Oh.
Because
Because of children.
Yeah, they might be seduced, right? Have you seen that movie I can't think of with Kevin Bacon?
Footloose.
Have you seen Footloose?
That movie with Kevin Bacon? You just brought back to mind the fucking deep fried bacon.
Yes.
And how gross that must have been.
It was really gross. You know what? We brought it home.
No, you didn't. Why?
Because we had like deep fried pickles, which obviously, yes, thank you. But I was like, I didn't want to just throw it out, and I felt rude because they were like so proud of their deep fried bacon. So I was like, let me just bring it home. But
did you have Gage try it?
My son won't eat anything that he finds like the mildest bit suspicious. Like he's like, no, has it got a weird texture, weird color, weird? No, I'm not interested.
Wow.
Okay, so now let's move on to one of my personal favorite stories, fairy tales, Beauty and the Beast. It is believed that this story is based on a boy named Petrus Gonzalez. In the 1500s, just like literally all of time, people are fascinated with the strange and unusual.
Right.
So in 1537, at the age of 10, Petrus was sent to the court of King Henry II in France from his home in Spain because of his peculiarity.
Okay.
He was sent there because he was covered his whole body in long, thick, dark hair.
Oh, like the wolfmen of Mexico, South America.
That's 100% exactly what he suffers from, yeah. So, of course, they were all thrilled by this curiosity and clearly forgot that this is like a human being child.
Right.
They waited for the reputed man in the woods to bare his teeth and reveal his savage side, but that day never came.
The little boy? They called him the man in the woods?
Yeah.
Aww.
He's just like an even-keeled little boy who suffered from an extremely rare condition called hypertrichosis, resulting in hair growing all over a person's body.
Right.
The king took a liking to the boy and decided to take him on his little pet project. So,
pet, quote unquote.
Yeah,
pet.
truly. He gives him a wardrobe makeover and the best education that the king could offer, grooming him to be a nobleman.
Oh, wow.
But he's like covered in hair.
Right.
So I don't know if he was like, oh, he's a nice boy, I'm going to take care of him, or he's like, this is my sideshow, like, exhibit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The king dies. And his wife, Catherine de Medici, she takes over the throne, essentially, because they have a bunch of kids, but I think her son is young still, and he's kind of like sickly. And I only know that because I watched Rain.
Okay, and that's based on truth.
So she made finding Petrus a wife her personal mission.
Now, did Rain have that?
No, but it had some other very interesting stuff, but he wasn't in there.
All right.
So she had ulterior motives, of course. She was hoping to reproduce his genetic condition in his offspring. And she just wanted to, like, have a little science experiment, I guess.
Gross.
So she finds him a young noblewoman, and she keeps his condition a secret. And
from the young
From anyone,
woman.
Yeah. Or from anyone that she,
so he's
like, prospects. Hidden. Yeah, I guess. Or, like, prospects of who to marry.
Right.
I think many people knew who he was.
Okay.
But maybe she was just like, oh, I'm looking for a young woman because I want to marry off to one of my noblemen, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, got it.
Not saying who he was or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It is rumored that the young bride is none too pleased when she finds out who her future groom is. But just like in the fairy tale, she is won over by his personality in the end. We don't know what happens after the wedding in Beauty and Beast, but we do know what happened to Catherine and Petrus. They were married for 40 years.
Wow.
They had 7 children, 3 of whom were born with the same condition of their father.
Right.
The children were all well educated, and they were respected members of court, but doomed to be separated from their parents. Europe's traveling sideshow snatched up 3 of those children and sent them off to gifts as other royal families. Sort of like mimicking what happened to their father.
Wow.
One of their daughters, Antoinetta, was famously memorialized in a series of portraits. So, like, any of these, like, old-timey portraits you see of, like, the children with the hair all over their faces, that's her.
Really?
Yeah. After these tragedies, the fairy tale couple settled in a secluded estate in Italy where they lived the remainder of their life quietly. Which I just think is nice.
Oh my god, it's really Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Not that, I mean, I don't mean to say beast like that.
The story, like, kept calling him a beast. Like, they were just like, he really hated that. Like,
I mean.
Yeah. The last of the tales I would like to tell you about today, and the one that inspired Cindy's lovely meal, is the Muffin Man.
Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Go on.
So do you know the Muffin Man?
I don't.
Well, he lives on Drury Lane, if you're not sure.
Does he now?
Yes. In 15th century England.
This is all 15th century.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's
what?
like, so the Grimm's, not that the Muffin Man is a Grimm's fairy tale.
Okay, yeah.
But like the Grimm, like a lot of them, their stories are from.
Right. The ignorance of not knowing.
Yeah. You know, the couple centuries before that. Like
Right.
they would pick up these little tales and like
Right.
spin them into beautiful, horrific stories. You
Right.
know? So 15th century England, it was common for families to have fresh foods delivered to their homes.
Well, Hello Fresh?
Exactly, yes. Every morning, families could expect to find a parcel of bread for their daily meals. A popular morning meal was muffins, which were more, I wish I would have known this before because I only found this out this morning. They were more like English muffins, like what we would, you know, those
Right,
flat bread-like
right.
ones, and not like the sweet American muffins, but I didn't know that till this morning, so I couldn't tell you. That being said, the life of a baker in England at the time was not a pleasant nor lucrative one. For starters, everyone wanted bread deliveries. Everybody needed bread.
Right. That's a lot of bread for a baker.
Yeah, and the middle class could afford to have fresh foods delivered to their homes. And during various times of the year, the bread deliveries would skyrocket for like holidays or parties. Just
Right.
regular, you know, capitalism shit.
Right.
However, the bakers did not have giant, you know, mixers like we have, so they had to do everything, you know, by hand. And one of the articles said sometime by feet because they would be like doing,
Yeah.
you know, out of here.
I'd give the rich people the feet.
Definitely, definitely. And you know, they couldn't afford to hire staff, so they were doing this mostly all by their own or within their families or
Right.
whatever. That meant the daily shift would begin somewhere between, you know, 10 and 11 o'clock at night, and it would last all night. And sometimes the only time they would get to sleep would be just when the dough was rising.
Right.
So the tale of the Muffin Man goes like this. The Muffin Man would make his deliveries just like any other baker, but he would lure the children away from their homes by playfully tying a string to a muffin and pulling it like with the parcel down the street, like pulling it. And the kids would think this was like a fun game, so they'd like chase around the muffins, which led back to the Muffin Man's bakery where he would torture and kill the children. The Muffin Man seemed to have taken pleasure in taunting and torturing children before killing them. According to the lore, he would use a wooden spoon to knock the children out, which experts have long cast doubt that a wooden spoon would be enough to render a person unconscious, but here we are.
My grandmother used to use a wooden spoon to beat us, and I can tell you that you'd be rendered unconscious.
Yeah. I mean, you crack somebody upside the head in the right way, you could knock them out, I would think.
I guess, but I mean, you know, you'd have to pack a wallop.
Yeah, probably. The Muffin Man, also known as the Drury Lane Dicer, his name was Frederick Thomas Linwood.
Oh, for real? He was for real?
Yeah. I mean, this is the story, right?
Oh, shit.
So he was born in 1563 and he died in 1612. And there are many accounts of Linwood's crimes, however, no surviving records. So, like, people talked about this, but, you know, he was never convicted, I guess. Or that there's no record of it. Between the years of 1589 and 1598, Linwood allegedly murdered 15 children. There was another account that was saying that he maybe murdered other bakers in the area, but that was the only article I read that in, so I just want to say it, but I don't know how true that is,
right.
or how true any of this is. We'll talk about that in a minute. His shop was really popular spot for the kids to like visit and run around and cause havoc. So then he would, you know, see the kids that were bad. He would lure them in with the
bad
muffin
ones.
And torture them.
I ain't mad at him.
He would torture them and kill them. It's believed that the children came up with this catchy sing-song rhyme to warn the other children to stay away from Linwood's bakery and to be wary of their surroundings, you know? This was a popular TikTok and where I originally got the idea for the episode, but Snopes said, "Nuh-uh."
Okay. Tell me, Snopes.
They aren't saying it's not true. What they're saying is this currently remains unproven. Their thoughts are that yes, people did have food delivery services back then. Yes, there was Muffin Man, which could be where the rhyme comes from. They believe that it could be inspired from a real Muffin Man that did live on Drury Lane, which is a thoroughfare bordering Covent Garden in downtown London. So it is a real place. There was really Muffin Men. They would have lived in that vicinity.
Right.
So, like, it's possible that that's true. They think maybe part of what the story is being conflated with is that Drury Lane and Dorset Lane is also an area in East London. Dorset Lane was once called the worst street in London, and it is also the murder site of Mary Jane Kelly, the youngest of Jack the Ripper's victims. So they think maybe these two different stories are being merged into one, and that's why people are believing that maybe this was the origin story of the Muffin Man.
Right. But when did Jack the Ripper, when was he ripping?
He was not until 1888.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Right, but they're just saying, this is maybe why people now are saying that, this is where they're getting it from.
Got it.
It's like a little weird linguistical snafu. Okay. You know what I mean? They were saying Drury Lane and not Dorset Lane, and just making the connection there. So some of the articles I read that Frederick Thomas Linwood was the first reported serial killer in England, but that is not true. That title is held by Mary Ann Cotton, who was hanged in 1873 for committing at least 21 murders. So I guess truly none of us does know who the Muffin Man is.
Or where he lives. Oh, I love that. How witty.
Yeah, those are some...
I'm still on the Beauty and the Beast one. That warmed my heart.
I really was happy about that,
yes.
too. I mean, we don't love, forcing people to marry people they don't love, but I'm glad they found love in the end.
Yes.
And, had 7 kids and just, retired on a, villa in Italy.
Yeah.
That's so sweet, right?
I love that for them.
Yeah.
Aww. When I was looking up recipes for drinks, the reason that there's a strawberry in here, and I had cut it up so
to look like a rose.
To look like a rose, I was thinking of the Beauty and the Beast story,
and
I did
so
without knowing.
I almost texted you yesterday to tell you the 3, but I was like, it's too late. She's probably like, bitch, get away from me. She's already got her food picked out.
No, I love that. I enjoyed that.
I'm glad.
Yes, I enjoyed that. The origin of fairy tales is intriguing to me.
Me too. Yeah. And so when I was looking, there's hundreds of others. I think there's some other really good ones that maybe I'll do another episode sometime that...
Yeah, there's this TikToker, I wish I could remember her name, where she and it's her and telling her story to herself.
Yes.
And she'll come down, she's a blonde. I forget her name.
She's a little redheaded kind of.
Yeah. And she's singing, "Do you know the Muffin Man?" And then she'll stop and then she'll be to herself, she'll be "Do you know me? Do you know where that song comes from?"
Yeah.
And then she pretend cries
she
or whatever.
Truly decimates herself with the real history of it. Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Oh, she's so good. Yeah.
I can't do her justice. And she does the best.
Yeah.
She's so good.
She's a great TikToker. Very smart.
Very, very.
Very smart, good editing.
Oh my God, yeah. So that's it for us.
That's it.
And if you like this, please take a moment to rate and review and write us a nice little 5-star message, all of that good stuff.
A little ditty, if you will.
Right, exactly. We'll see you next week, but in the meantime, subscribe so you don't miss out. We have Patreon, merch, buy me a coffee, share it with somebody, do all the things, go on the socials, follow us there. And you can literally connect with us anywhere. Check you out next week. And remember, do not get taken to the second location. Be good at hiding the body. Cheers.
Cheers. Are you okay? Jesus Christ. You're so fucking loud. You're disgusting and I hate you both.